would you think it's safe to say that if you know how to self-heal, you can actually eradicate the whole concept of having a therapist and having doctors?
4 weeks.
You think so?
I know so.
You don't need that kind of medical care if you know the version of self-healing.
If you
In any capacity, like we're talking cancers, we're talking diseases, we're talking addictions, things that people say that you need years, maybe never, to come off of heroin addictions and alcohol addictions and stuff like that. You would safely say that?
4 weeks, 4 to 7 weeks max. Here's how it works.
Welcome to another episode of What They Don't Tell Us podcast, where I host some of the most interesting people from different walks of life and with different areas of expertise that will basically help us unravel a few things about the stuff that they do not tell us, what we should have learned way back when, before many other things, but haven't. The kind of skills and the kind of lessons that would help us get ahead in life, because all the real lessons are in between the lines. On today's episode, I'm speaking with Shayoon, a Lightforce healer who's turned around countless lives, from people with deep-rooted traumas and addictions all the way to autoimmune disease, chronic pains, and fatal illnesses, including her own healing. After a severe car accident when she was only a teenager, where she was caught in a burning car with multiple injuries, Shayoon was told she would struggle with chronic pain her entire life and would never be able to have kids, until she met her now husband, who opened her eyes to the journey of self-healing. Through her own healing journey, she lives pain-free now, drug-free, and shares 2 beautiful children with her husband. Knowing what she knows now and what she experienced firsthand, she became obsessed with helping as many people as possible to find liberation in self-healing. More recently, in 2020, Shayoon redirected her purpose and energy to working against child sex trafficking after having had first-hand experience once again with a very traumatic circumstance where her own son almost was kidnapped in Bali from his own bed in the hotel room they were staying in by a sexual predator, when his father miraculously stopped the kidnapper at the doorstep just in time before their lives would have fallen apart. This conversation may be difficult for some of you. It's going to be eye-opening to others and enlightening to a lot of you. I hope you would listen with an open mind and the willingness to learn and to understand. I'll do the best I can to be your voice by asking the right questions so I can shed light on what they don't tell us. Shayoon, thank you for joining me on this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. Such an honor to be here.
Really, it's my honor to be talking to you. Just to give you guys a little bit of background, I don't know how the universe works sometimes, but it was really aligned for Shayoon and I to be talking right now. It started from getting Sarah on my show, which was right before Shayoon. And Shayoon's actually one of Sarah's healers, or her main healer, actually. So Sarah and I had a lot of conversations about her. And then different people started coming into my life telling me about Shayoon. And then she was finally here for 48 hours. I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're coming on my show. And we're really having this conversation. So thank you really for coming.
Thank you so much. I love Sarah. She's one of my closest friends, and Joanna and everybody.
And
so
Joanna introduced us.
I always get introduced to the most beautiful people through them. So I'm so happy I could make it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
So I have a lot to unravel.
Let's go.
Shayoon's story, you could hear all the details of how her and her husband met on several podcasts. But what I want to really unravel is everything to do with the work you're doing, the things that people don't tell us about healing, about that journey in specific. And I want you to take us back to that moment in that car crash when you had went through all the trauma of the world, with all the physical pain in the world, with your burns and your broken bones. Mm-hmm. I would say you told me you went into the medical system. Of course, they put you on any type of drug and medication that you should have been on, told you you're never going to be able to have kids. And that went on for a few years. Now, how do you feel like the medical system failed you after you discovered that self-healing journey through the teachings of your husband?
Oof. Okay, let's go. So the issue with the medical system, and I believe there's a time and place for everything, and there is definitely a time and place for the medical system. the majority of the people don't need the emergency situations. And so what has happened in the medical system is it's failed everybody, but through big pharma and through just masking everybody's emotional state with pharmaceuticals and with really unprofessional advice, in my opinion. I don't believe that all therapists have the best advice. You can only talk about something for so long. We specialize in getting the root cause of everything and removing it. We don't want to see you after 4 weeks. You shouldn't be sitting on the same couch for years. You know what I mean? And so as a young, vulnerable teenager, when something like that traumatic happens to you, you're looking for people who really know what they're doing to help you. And you really believe that, oh, the medical system's going to help me. Like, I'm going to get to feel better. But instead, I'm an 18-year-old. I just got into this terrible car accident, and I'm being told at such a young age, I'm never going to have a future. I'm never going to have children. I'm never going to be able to walk properly again. I'm never going to be able to dance again. It's things that don't need to be said and things that don't have any theory behind it. So you have all of these educated people and nurses and doctors telling people the worst of the worst because they don't know any better. They've been indoctrinated into a system that has no cure. And so what they do is they tell you, this is how it is going to be. Like, a lot of people get all of these crazy, you're going to die in 6 months. Like, you only have this much time to live. Like, you're not God. You don't know that, like it's not okay, first of all, to make people feel like that. And then when people do feel like that and they get that shock, they're like, oh my God. And then they go into even more depression or have even more anxiety or an emotional state that is incurable at that time, because you think, okay, well, there it is. And then you believe them. Right. And so I was subscribed and prescribed to the system really deep. I was on every medication possible. I was on every painkiller. I was taking antidepressants. And then I was trying to mask everything that I was really feeling, because deep down inside, I had anger from the car accident. I was pissed because I lost my childhood, basically. Dancing was my biggest passion. So to be told you can't have that anymore was crazy. And then the only thing I've ever wanted to do is be a mother. And I have not even a doctor, a nurse, and a therapist, a physiotherapist telling me, well, sorry, you won't be able to have children. And logically and scientifically, how does that have anything to do with my womb? It doesn't. It's just
How did they jump
talk.
into that conclusion, though?
They just did, based on the movement of my hips, and my hips weren't going to be aligned properly enough to ever bear children, the stuff like that, right? And so I found that I was really in trouble because mentally I was so drained. Physically, I had zero capability of even digesting anything else that wasn't a high opiate or like a really big prescription that you shouldn't be giving children. On top of it, their nutrition doesn't really exist. They're still using a food pyramid, and it's wild. And so you have zero ability from the professionals to actually heal. And so I was deep into that system, and I was like, okay, the only thing I can really do is move away and pursue something that I really wanted to do. So I left and I went to fashion school instead, because I knew I could be creative and I wanted to do something that at least made me a little bit happy. And even doing that, I struggled every single day. I would shake because of the meds, and I would shake because I was so nervous because I still had so much trauma in my body. My pain body was just full of anxiety, fear, depression, sadness, all of those emotional symptoms that can take over your entire being if not treated correctly. And so one day someone asked me, hey, you want to go to a music festival? And I was like, sure, I've never been to a music festival. And I really just wanted to free myself in some way. And I was like, all right, there's going to be a lot of walking, and there's going to be a lot of like ways that I would try to find excuses of not to go places because of my pain levels. And then so I was like, but it's fine. I'll just drink more. I'll just do things, that you're not supposed to do. So I go to this music festival. And I was in my zone, and I'm a dancer naturally. So I was dancing for myself. And this really charismatic man says that he saw me dancing, but he saw me for myself. So he didn't want to interrupt me. And then in a sea of 100,000 people at Coachella 2010, he sees me again. So he approached me. And in that moment, I was very open and vulnerable and just was like, wow, people around me are having so much fun, and like you can really live, and music is always the best healer for me. And so he said, hey, come take a deep breath with me. And no one's ever said that to me before. I've never really been in that world of like breath. Like, what's that?
Why are
like,
you
I
creepy?
forget. Yeah, stop creeping me out. I don't need to breathe. I'm good. And so I was like really intrigued, and I was like, let's breathe. And I took a deep breath with him, and like it was just magic, fireworks, all of that. And fast forward, he is my husband now of 14 years. And through that meeting came a whole host of other things. I grew up Muslim, very cultured, and traditionally, I didn't want to waste his time because I was always told I needed to marry somebody that was at least Muslim. So I didn't want to waste his time. But as I got to spend more time with him, I noticed that he grew up very spiritual. He was in martial arts, and he did a lot of meditation and in a lot of activities and tools that he knew that I've never heard of before. So I became fascinated, but I never practiced. Like, he would always ask me to try it, and I would just be like, you do your healing thing. It's cool. I'm good.
It's all for me. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm cool. I got my meds. I'm chilling. I feel good today. And the happiness of just even hanging out with him was really beautiful in itself. So I already felt better. So I didn't feel like I needed, and I also had a really hard time asking for help. Like, I just wanted to be good. And that's just my personality. I just like, I'm the caretaker of everything. I'm a Cancer. I'm emotional. Like, I can do it on my own, I'll figure it out. So he actually started the big phenomenal company called Spirit Hoods, and they were like the faux fur animal hats with the paws. It was like the big sensation for every music festival. And so he was hosting a massive party for really big artists in Vegas, and it was a really big night for him. And we were ready. We drove from LA, and a few minutes before, I was like in the worst pain, Trace. I couldn't even put on shoes. Imagine, like, you can't even wear anything with heels because the vibration into your spine. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel like a horrible person, but I can't come to your biggest event. And he was like, you know what? No, khalas. Like, we're done. You're going to sit down and you're going to do what I'm going to show you that's going to change your life. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll try your healing thing. And mind you, I hadn't been able to even rotate my hips or my spine or my back down at all in 6 years. So within 10 minutes, I'm not joking you, I was touching my toes in downward dog, FaceTiming my parents, like crying that I can do this because he taught me how to, it's called emotional freedom technique. And that's the bare basic, how to forgive my body. And I was like, that is not a concept that most people think about. Forgiving yourself, forgiving your body for all of the pain, the anger, the resentment. If you could think of any emotional trauma, I had it. And just that energy in itself, releasing and letting go of something that doesn't really belong to me. It's not mine. I need to release that from my body. My pain went like that. And I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. I was told so many times through different people and through the culture, like, this is black magic. You don't want to mess with healing, just talk to God. And I became obsessed. I became obsessed with healing. And I was like, I need to show everyone this. Like, how come everyone is in so much pain? Like, if I can do it next week off of every medication, just couldn't believe it, like living, and you go into the system, you become attached to your pain body. You are that person. Like, that's your story. I'm in pain. I'm suffering. Poor me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And no matter how much you try to mask it or numb it, it's always going to be there. So I wanted to show the world that healing is absolutely possible, and it's all within you, and it's in your brain, and you are the one that has the ability to heal yourself when you go all in.
That's incredible, really. I mean, let's talk about that. So,
Yeah.
Firstly, what was that thing he did? He told you to
it's called EFT.
Forgive your
emotional freedom technique, where you have to first forgive your body for everything that you are telling your body that you are. I am angry. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I am this. Of course, you're going to be that.
Can you show us something? Like a quick one, just so we understand?
Well, so basically EFT is about tapping. So you all your meridian points on your body. So there's a certain technique that you use so for instance, you would say, even though I am deeply sad, I deeply forgive myself. I deeply and completely forgive myself. And then you take your biggest emotions and you tap them on all of your meridians out of your system until you can't feel it anymore.
Wow.
Until you actually feel the forgiveness.
So that works in one sitting, more or less. You can kind of start your journey in one sitting.
100% do that. And it works really well with addictions or with like nightmares or things that you want to get rid of quickly that aren't so fatal.
And what are, so I know you've worked with a lot of people. You've talked to me about this. People that have really bad addictions, whether it's drugs or alcohol or any sort of heavy addiction, all the way to chronic pain, fatal pain. Do you have a specific memory of a specific case that you've worked with that was just mind-blowing for you and it stayed with you?
In terms of addiction, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the world that we live in gets children. My biggest passion is working with kids, children and young adults who are in their teens who don't have emotional support at home or whose parents haven't been there for them or are just plain sad. They get prescribed. I mean, children as young as like 7 in schools are getting prescribed methamphetamines, like ADHD and ADD and all of that is so disgusting to give a child Adderall and like all of these things to make them sit in one place and focus when the bottom line is they just need love and attention and to be emotionally stable. So if you teach a child the opposite, right? To not sit still, to play, to adventure, to learn from the earth, to grab onto all of the emotional baggage, because our foundation is love. When we are born, we are given love, starts from the womb. And everything else is taught. So in most religions and most things, you're born a sinner. You're always fearing God. You're fearing everything else. And so you're programmed to believe that you are living this fearful life. And so you're scared of everything. So when you're scared of everything, you don't have much emotion to just be free. I mean, if you ever sit and talk to a child, what do they want? They just want to play. And as adults, it's so important for us to just play. Like we need a break from this material 3D BS. And we need to learn to come back to the foundation of love. And so when doctors and therapists prescribe all of these things, it becomes the start of the addiction. And when you put something so precious and pure onto a chemical, the addiction runs way deeper into your system. And so I have had the pleasure and the pain of working with so many young individuals who are on every type of pill, meth, hard drugs and alcohol. And it's because it's the gateway. So they get prescribed something and then they don't know how to come off of it because that's all they know. But it's the only thing that makes them feel better. So it's a cycle, right? And then they keep going back to the therapist, which what does that spell out in English? It's the rapist. It's not nice form, but everyone says it. Because why? Because you keep going back for the same thing for years and years. You're sitting on the same damn couch. Because nobody knows how to actually help you, how to remove. You don't need any of that. I always tell everyone you are your own medicine. Like you are the medicine. If you can clear 100% of every emotional thing that has ever happened to you, your physical body listens and will correct itself on its own. You wouldn't cut yourself and go around bleeding all over everything. You would tend to your wound. And the same thing goes for emotional suffering. If you're suffering inside, if one thing happens that has a big toll on you traumatically, you have to clean that wound until you don't feel it anymore. You'll still have the scar, yeah, but it doesn't hurt. And most people, 90%, are walking around bleeding all over everyone and everything else because they don't have the tools. They don't know what to do. You can drink all the green juice you want. You can eat as healthy as you want. You can go to the gym as you want. But until in here is okay, your mind, body, and spirit can't ever recorrect itself if you still are holding that emotional charge from a certain time in your life.
So do you think, would you think it's safe to say that if you know how to self-heal, you can actually eradicate the whole concept of having a therapist and having doctors?
4 weeks.
You think so?
I know so.
You don't need that kind of medical care if you know the version of self-healing.
If you
in any capacity, like we're talking cancers, we're talking diseases, we're talking addictions, things that people say that you need years, maybe never to come off of heroin addictions and alcohol addictions and stuff like that. You would safely say that?
4 weeks, 4 to 7 weeks max. Here's how it works. If And I really love this because people need the science behind it, right? If you have something so deeply suppressed within your system, most people I work with, unfortunately, have been sexually abused before the age of 4. Most of those people are their parents. Imagine being raped by your father, okay? You're holding all of this trauma in your memory cells and in your system. That's how you start life. Of course, if you don't take care of that, it's going to manifest into a disease. Anything that is not taken care of emotionally will turn into something physical. It's just science. So before that happens, if we're lucky, we get to work with people before that happens. Most people, autoimmune diseases, cancer, depression, addiction, all of that is because they haven't dealt with something emotionally. You never have a cancer patient, and I've worked with very many. I just actually helped somebody heal. She healed herself. It wasn't me. We always say that you're the healer. We empower you to heal yourself. There's no gurus and all of this other stuff. You don't need anything else except for yourself and the tools. I am not your healer, and her tumor was so big at the beginning of our work, and with her scans and our program and the proper diet and this Ayurvedic place that she went to, it's gone 3 weeks. The doctors are like, what are you doing? It's not anything other than science. If you remove systematically everything that's happened to you with our process, which we call emotional mapping, the time when I was beat by my father when I was 5 years old, I felt. You have a series of feelings that has to do with just one instance, not just one feeling with one instance. So I felt abandoned, scared, tired, whatever it is, hurt, abused. And we rank them on a scale of 0 to 10. So that memory from when you're a child, you're still holding into your system. So everybody that has cancer or disease or anything recalls a memory from their past. And I'm like, how does it feel now into your system? Can you feel it? Yeah, it's a 10. Well, there you go. You're holding a 10 of anger and rage and disappointment and abused into your system still, and you're 40, So
Do you feel like some people, have you worked with people that keep it in the subconscious? They don't recall,
yes,
when
absolutely.
that happens? Like,
most people start with us, they don't remember what the trauma is. So through our process, it's called Lightforce Healing, which is an amalgamation. We're celebrating 10 years of our work right now. It's an amalgamation of Alexander and I studying everything that we've learned, from shamanism to quantum healing, hypnosis, physics, Reiki, all of that, sitting with the indigenous, sitting with real plant medicine, sitting with the things that are hidden from society
for a reason.
for a reason, to be able to help people. There's a reason why they don't want you to heal. It's because it's a business, and without that business, it wouldn't be fruitful for anyone, right? Why are they poisoning our food? Why are they poisoning our programming? Why are they poisoning our children? Why? Because it's bad for business. Same thing. So when you remove everything that's toxic, everything, I'm talking about people have thousands of lines on their map, right? When you remove all of that, you come back to your foundation of love, and your body corrects itself. It's that simple.
You talked to me about, you touched on this right now, and I want to talk about it a little bit, about religion versus believing in religion versus believing in the idea of healing, believing in the idea of downloading, which we'll also talk about, a calling, hearing things. And we can touch on that when we start talking about what happened with your son. I hate to take you back to that memory, but let's just touch on that a little bit. You're healed. So how do you debunk this idea that if you want to understand healing, that doesn't mean that you no longer believe in your religion and God and in the strength of God and the strength of faith versus you taking the place of God?
I love this question, by the way. The difference between religion and spirituality is nothing. If you believe in a higher power, and you believe in source, and you believe in the universe, and you believe that there is something greater than us, then that is what we need. That's all you need. You could be Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, whatever. Spirituality and healing has everything to do with your connection to everything. And if you're disconnected, we show you as well how to come back to your connection. Healing has made me a stronger Muslim. has brightened my faith, has showed me everything that I was scared of growing up, is taken away my fear. If you're not living in fear, there's not much left to work with. And that's the beautiful part, is that we're scared of everything. We're scared of the moments that happen to us. We're scared of our traumas. We're scared of the people that hurt us. We're scared. When you remove the fear and you replace it with trust, and you replace the fear of the unknown with curiosity, what if just for a second you put everything else that everyone else told you about, all the telephone game stories, he said, she said, this one did that one, this prophet did this, like, we don't really know, right? What we know is our intuition and our feeling on things. When you trust in that and you trust in the process, then you can heal. When you are ready and you believe, but the belief comes from yourself. It's not from anything else or anybody else that's told you one thing or the other. It brings you closer to God. It brings you closer to what the true message really is.
So did you ever sit across from someone who's extremely very cynical?
Super.
And you've changed their mind?
Completely. I've sat with atheists who are fully in the light now. I've sat with the most extreme Muslims. I've sat with my parents. I've gone to places where the problem is we have forgotten that our subconscious has all of the answers, and we rely on other people and therapists and other people to tell us what we should be thinking and doing and feeling. And then they can't, so then they give you a pill. We have all of the answers within us. The only way forward is within. And when you go inside, you don't need to ask anybody else. You have to ask your subconscious. You have to ask your higher self. And your higher self knows the answers to everything. And the way to get there is through theta, science, through quantum healing hypnosis, through just a lower state of thinking. When your brainwave is lower and you're not vibrating at, such a low vibration, and you calm your nervous system down, you're able to channel, which takes us into downloading what's really happening. You have all the answers within us. And then people are like, is that really true? Or am I making it up? And it's always true. We have guides, we have ancestors, we have people, we have, even in religion, we have prophets and angels and all these things that are sitting here waiting to talk to you. You just have to access it, and you have to believe. And when you do believe, that's when all the answers come. And then it's miraculous healing.
It's a lot to take, It's a lot to take, because I'll hear it from some people that are very religious to say, no, like, that's black magic, like you're saying. You're not supposed to be, like the whole Ouija board concept, like who are you talking to? You're not supposed to be trying to talk to the dead or talk to the people or angels or talk to this.
Well, there's a difference between that. I want to touch on that. There is black magic, and there's definitely distortion within the spiritual world, and a lot of spiritual bypassing going on, which is a really big annoyance in our field. There's a lot of people, here's exactly what it is. There's a lot of unhealed healers and coaches and medicine people running around trying to heal other people when they are so dark and confused themselves. There's a very little amount of people of light here who have done the work and are living their life like that. And there's a lot of distortion. There's a lot of sexual distortions. There's a lot of spiritual distortion. Nothing that ever brings darkness and Ouija boards and all of these things into that space is true. None of that exists. When you work with the light only, that's when the light appears. You can't have darkness and all of these superstitious things around it. And black magic is a very real thing, 100%. Nazar, evil eye, all of that does exist. But there are ways to clear your field from that.
So I'm happy that you talked about this, because it's quite confusing. I mean, I'm old enough to see people's journeys. I'm old enough to have people from school. Now they're in their late 30s. And I know when someone used to be damaged and has been damaged for a very long time, and then all of a sudden she or he wakes up and she's a life coach, or she's a yogi who's showing you the light. And I'm just like, bro, yeah, you need healing yourself, dude.
I know, babe.
Like, you can't be coaching.
Constant.
You can't be coaching people. You can't be telling people how to live when you're in hiding, when you're in panic, when you're in fear behind closed doors.
I went to a Pilates class the other day, and the woman was like 200 pounds overweight. And I was like, not sure. It's one of those things, it's like, here's the problem.
I guess that's why people are a bit iffy as well, because you also think of healers and then you think, oh my God, gurus and hippies and random life that has nothing to do with me. And I'm pretty sure most people watching you right now are like,
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
You?
Because I
Healer?
don't dress, because I smell good. I dress really well. I look good. Yeah. It's a big, I always say, me and Sarah actually talk about it a lot, like there's 3D and there's 5D. I appreciate art and music and fashion in every way. And the difference is I'm not attached to it. Take my bag today, all my jewelry, I'm not attached to it. I will not be sad if I don't have it. Do I enjoy it? Yes, I think it's amazing and beautiful. Are there different ways to go about it now? Sustainability, vegan, leather, stuff like that, of course. But you can't get caught up in it.
Yeah.
It's not, my identity is not what I'm wearing. My identity is my heart and my soul and how I give and what my give back it is and what my purpose is, which brings me to my point of the prerequisite to your full embodiment of your purpose is to heal. You cannot create conscious solutions from an unconscious place, i.e. the coach who is severely depressed or, the overweight, yoga teacher or whatever. People have got it backwards. They want to focus on their purpose first and they haven't healed. And we say, do it healed. You cannot, you have to put your oxygen mask on first before you help anybody else. You have to be able to be fully clear 100% before saying, hey, let me help you.
Yeah. But I think people hide behind a purpose when they're in pain.
Totally. To get themselves away from it.
Yeah. It's a distraction.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where the mistake is. I mean, maybe they mean well and they're like, yeah, okay, but I'm going to dive deep into being this guru or yogi, but they're just getting out of an addiction, of a heroin addiction or whatever. And a lot of them say their story, like, I used to be a major heroin addict.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's such a shift. And it's always an extreme shift between a pivotal point or an epiphany that someone has, and then they just decide to not only find some journey, but also teach people and preach about it.
Absolutely.
So it's a bit scary, right? Because you don't know what you're really learning from. And sometimes maybe the people that experienced it firsthand are able to, I get the point, I get the logic, they want to teach or they want to be able to help you too. But I feel like instead of helping others, let's focus on helping ourselves first.
Absolutely. Always. I grew up in LA and I lived in Bali for a while, which was scary because everyone there, it's like the mecca of spiritual bypassing and fake, healers and all of that. And it's just a lot of wounded people, and they give wounded results because they're not in their full power. And the beauty of the work that we do is we show you how to heal yourself and then go on to your purpose. You cannot create anything when you are broken and sad and depressed, and you can, and some people do, and most people do actually. They try, but what happens? You get wounded results, and you're only operating at a fraction of what you could be if you were fully transformed and had your awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Take me back to the time in Bali with your son. So you were in a hotel room. You ended up being in a position where you woke up in the middle of the night, and a transsexual. You told me you kind of caught your eye on a transsexual pulling your kid out of out with a crib.
I tell this story with so much gratitude now because of this incident that happened to me. I'm actually grateful for it because I was in Bali on vacation for Aya's second birthday, and I was staying at a hotel, and it was an inside job. And so everyone had kind of been following us for a while. And so when this man broke into our room, in the bathroom, he had like laid out all my makeup brushes. It was really creepy. He had a pillow in there. So he'd been in there for a few hours. He was like organizing OCD, all my things, playing with my makeup, had like stolen a bunch of things already, all my jewelry, money and stuff. And so when we saw it, it was even more creepier. But essentially, I heard a really weird noise. Sorry, back it up. Before that, I heard spirit or God in my ear saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. It was about 4 a.m., 3 a.m., something like that. And I woke up and I saw this man in a wig trying to take my baby. And in that moment, what do? You freeze. And then you're thinking, am I sleeping? Like, is this real? I took the flashlight from my phone because everything was pitch black. And I'm looking around and I'm like, there's a lamp over there. Like, do I grab it and like,
Beat the shit out of the guy.
Like, what's the best solution? Because I literally have half a second. Like, he could just take him and run, and the door is like right there. What do I do? Do I react? Do I get thug life on him? So I screamed for my husband, and my husband ran after him. And luckily for us, he left his phone in the room. And it doesn't matter what was stolen from us. None of that matters because I have my child. But in those messages was revealed to us how much money you get for a baby that looks a certain way, how much, because my husband's from Los Angeles, white hair, blonde hair, blue eyes. So our children are really beautiful. So, and they have long hair. So they thought he was a girl. And so you get more money for mixed children in the ring. And we found out that we were actually going to be victims of child sex trafficking with our own child being sold to a circle. And that threw me. That really threw me. And I went into depression, and I was really sad for a really long time of the could have been. And so
How old was your son?
He was 2. He just turned 2. It was his birthday. And in that moment, we were living in Ibiza, and 2 days later, there's a lockdown. This huge thing called coronavirus was hitting 2020, and no American citizens were allowed back into Spain, into Europe, where our home was. So I had to live in the place that I just experienced all this trauma. So I'm like, get me out of this country. I'm on the phone with the American embassy, like really fighting over here. We didn't even have money for our coffee. Like, they took everything. And here I am with my 2-year-old, my husband, like in this foreign country, and no one was helping us because it was an inside job. And I was like, all right, what am I going to do here? So I decided the only thing to do is turn your pain into purpose. So I healed myself, and then I'm like, how am I going to do this?
Sorry, let me pause there for a second.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you heal yourself on that moment?
So we have a specific modality that we're known for, which is our Lightforce healing. And I just did it on myself. And so the time when the man came into my room and broke into our room to steal my child for whatever they were going to do, I felt, and all of those emotions were at a 10.
So you have to take yourself there emotionally.
Oh yeah.
You have to.
I never let anything, and we're human, right? So things happen to us on the daily. I never let anything sit for more than a few hours. If I get into an argument with somebody, I sit down and I clear it.
Wow.
I never let anything run. When it's running in your head, that's what creates the subconscious programming. I'm not programmed with anything else except for feeling good.
This must have also created a trauma in your son.
No, he didn't know.
He has no idea?
He has no idea.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because you know how people can take back memories up
No.
until like one.
The only reason he knows is because he's heard, because I've been on so many shows about it.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of work with him, clearings. He comes to ceremony with us. He's a baby shaman, so
that's what I was going to
good.
ask you. Like, can you heal a child, or do
Yeah.
you have to wait till they're a bit more adult?
Definitely. My son comes to us, and he's like, "Mama, I have this feeling. I want to clear this fear." And he'll sit down and he'll think about it, and he'll connect to his heart, think about something or someone he loves, and he'll breathe it out until it's from a 10 to a 0. At age 3, he was doing that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So we have to teach them young. It's our responsibility. The future generation is dependent upon the new earth. Like, we have to re-raise these children. Like, everybody that's has a child with a screen at like age 4, I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, taking their childhood away. Like, you have to emotionally train your children to be so well off in their character and their emotions, running so wild and free, not scared, not in fear, not programmed into the system, not eating shitty food. My kids don't have any sugar. They don't know what a phone is for children's purposes. They don't watch programming that's designed to keep your kids wanting more consumerism. Like, they have a small amount of toys. They in order to get a new toy, they have to go give away their toys to an orphanage. Like, you have to teach the bare minimum, and that's how they become good people. They don't go to system schools to be forced into a box and sit in a system. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Some parents have, higher ambitions of education. It's just that the education system is really messed up. So taking it back,
What schooling do they do?
they're homeschooled, because majority of the people in the schools are the ones that are abusing the children. And that's stats and facts. And I was never going to let that happen again. You know, everyone that comes to us was molested by their teachers, their coaches, their sports, you know, their music people. The 90% of your inner circle, there's one person in there that's going to hurt your child. It's like gotten to that point now. So we're taking it back to turning my pain into purpose. I needed to see what was really going on. And the real pandemic is child sexual abuse and child trafficking. And it's happening every single day underneath our noses, in the safest places, in the dingiest places. It is the most disgusting act. I have now devoted my life to it. And so to rescuing children or being a part of the rescue missions. And so if that never happened to me, I wouldn't have known all of these things. And, you know, the scary part is a lot of children and parents, they don't know. So my biggest mission right now is to educate everybody on what is really going on with children. Like, who are your children hanging out with is so important. Where are they at all times? You know, these games and things that people are playing online, allowing their children to play Roadblocks and all of that, is the number one source for predators to come get your kids. And it's so disgusting because, you know, the child sexual abuse online in the dark web, millions, I'm talking hundreds of millions of files are shared daily within people in the dark web, wanting images and videos of children being raped and child sexual abuse, and children as young as their umbilical cords still attached. You have a pedophile pervert asking to see a video of a child with their umbilical cord still attached so they can get off on it.
That's
so the real pandemic here is the children. And what are we going to do about it? You have to start with paying such close attention to your kids. You know, I get judged all the time. You know, they're homeschooled. They don't get to do this. They don't get to do that. What's more important? You know, to be popular and to just, because you don't have time, so you give your kids the screen, or you don't have the patience because you don't know how to properly, you know, be present with your kid. It takes one instance, you know, and I have to see all of these files. I have to see how we can help. And so I'm creating a lot right now in terms of education for parents. Like, it took one PDF for me to see like the stats and be like, okay, I need to tell all of my friends. It's part of why I live in the middle of nowhere, because I need to be in nature. I couldn't see my boys like running around in Dubai, like not with their feet in the ground, and understanding how to grow their own food and how to regulate their emotions. And, you know, you have to be in all the way. And healing is all about that. Like, there's balance in all of it. And without nature and without proper food and without proper air, you're slowly killing yourself and everything else around you. You have to be so balanced. And on top of it, not being balanced emotionally, it's a fast way to the end. So bringing it back, just that my purpose in life is to help other people find their healing and their purpose.
Do you think when you're not healed, I mean, first of all, what does real alignment look like? True alignment. What does that mean?
It means mind, body, and spirit. When your mind and your body and your spirit are fully aligned in everything. So you can't have a six-pack and be at the gym and have depression. You can. Most people do, right? And I'm not saying like you have to have like a great body and be skinny to be like enlightened. No, I'm saying everything you eat, you know, you can change the energy of water. Like, just gratitude in itself, like, they're putting fluoride in everyone's water. Like, you're brushing with fluoride in your toothpaste. Like, there's poison everywhere, right? So intention is key for everything that we do. Thank you so much to your water. You can change the molecular structure of your water by your prayer. Intention and prayer for everything. I mean, my kid, like, he prays on everything constantly, you know, but it's energy. Everything is energy. We all feel like we're physical beings just having a physical experience, and we're not. We're all energy, you know? And if we could change that and see that this is not a table, this is energy, this is made from energy, it's matter, right? Everyone else is focused on the material and everything else, if they focused on the actual matter, we would be a peaceful, healed world, right? But if you really want to be completely aligned, your mind has to be right, your spirit has to be right. What do I mean by spirit? Your happiness, the way you go about your life, like the way you treat other people, the way it all has to be in complete balance. Like we were talking about coaches, like I see people being so one way, and then I see them at a different time and they're like, their character is just off. Your spirit has to be something where you constantly are maintaining, just like you would spiritual hygiene. You take care of your spirit. You sit down and you take care of yourself every day. We have a morning ritual. We have certain meditations that you're supposed to do. I always see people are like, oh, I can't sit and have a 45-minute meditation. I'm like, if you're too busy, you need to sit longer. You take care of yourself. Just like you spend an hour at the gym, you need to spend an hour with your body, your mind, and your spirit.
Yeah.
It's part of it. If you really want true happiness, true enlightenment, you're sitting every day, and taking care of it, just like you would anything else, just like you would make all of your other appointments. You make time for your own spirit.
Yeah. You told me something yesterday when we were talking, that meditation's all good, manifestation's all good, but it means nothing if you're not healed. If you're just trying, it's like a Band-Aid if you're not really healed. So you could quiet it down a little bit temporarily.
Yeah.
So technically speaking, meditation and manifestation is not what's going to heal you, but it's what's going to sustain you, and you need to do healing in parallel.
Yeah.
That's what your thoughts are.
Case in point is, that's the difference between full healing and partial healing, and what a lot of people don't understand, and which is what our mission is to bring to the entire world, is that the difference between partial healing and full healing is removing everything that you've ever had a traumatic experience of through this work and completely taking it out of your system. If you don't do that, it's going to come up like your friends. It's going to come up again in your life. So you have to systematically remove every negative program that's ever happened. I'm talking about anything, even if it's a 1 and you can barely feel it anymore. Like the time I was bullied on the playground, the time, little things that you don't even think of could be the root. So when you remove the roots, the whole house of cards falls. And when that happens, you realize, oh, my shoulder pain is gone. Or, oh, like I don't have headaches anymore. My anxiety level's down. It's like this one thing that you never knew was holding you back your whole life, or it's something massive, right?
I feel like it could be so frustrating though. Like, when you're holding on to this anger or this anxiety or depression for so long, and then all of a sudden it's liberating, but it's also so frustrating to say, damn, all this time, this is what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's the beauty in it, is that healing is not a lifelong journey. It has an end date. And that's the difference between people I'm just going to heal the rest of my life. I don't believe healing is a lifelong journey. That it is for therapists. They want it to be a lifelong. They want you to be there forever because it's good for business. It doesn't have to be that way. There's so much beauty and love and experiences to be had. All this other stuff doesn't really matter. What matters is, why are we here? What are you here for? And what are you going to do about it? Right?
I think people think as well that they need to be broken for them to go through a healing journey.
It's fad.
Yeah. And
all the songs, all the programming.
I don't feel wrong. I'm okay. I don't need healing. People assume that you have to be broken under rock bottom. It
feels good to not feel good.
Yeah.
Because then when you don't feel good, then you can reach for all the other crutches. All the artists and music. Like, when have you ever heard a really good song that's positive? You're hearing all this crap on the radio and on in music because everybody is suffering, and they don't. Who's writing about where's the new Bob Marley? Like who's talking about happiness and real actual lyrics that are going to change your life? No one. And so then you have a billion people at a concert raving to low vibrational music at God knows what lowest vibration of hertz it is, on drugs, on alcohol, on all these other things, and then you're stuck, and then you're all conjuring. That's a huge part of conjuring distortion, right? That's black magic. You put a bunch of people, and these DJs that are famed for being, these gods to these people, they're literally putting actual music that's on the lowest hertz of vibration, that brings you into a low vibration, that releases cortisol into your body. And then you have a fan base, right? And then that's how they get you. and then you're hooked to it.
Do you see this are you talking about like a hip hop R&B, or are you also talking about house music when people?
I'm a hip hop girl, like back in the day, like I'm hip hop, but that was good music. I'm talking about now you have all of these satanic, you know, people who are making really dark music, talking about the devil, talking about killing themselves, talking about really dark things, or just talking nonsense, like just twerking this and that, like things that are so low vibe, you know, there's no respect in any of it. There's none of that. And so it becomes a fad.
I'm actually curious about this, what you think about this, because I totally agree with you on that, on the music front and on the bad lyrics and the bad vibrations and all of that. But then you have a lot of people that are steering more into house music, and their argument is house is happy, it's light, it talks about love and light. But then again, there's also this whole scene of DJ, everybody's around the DJ booth, and like, I don't know, I mean, we've all been to Ibiza, we've all been to parties. We love it. It's
I used
so much
to live
fun.
there. Yeah.
But I wonder, is it the same kind of vibration when everybody's on a high, having such a good time, partying, smiling, and dancing, because it's all about love and light and energy. But that vibration, that kind of, putting people, because you hear some people that are not into that say, what the hell is this cult? Like, what are you guys doing sitting around? What do you think of both versions? Are they both the same?
I think that dance music, I think all music that is done correctly is medicine, straight medicine. I think that if you go to a dance party and you're truly there just to dance, but you're not on anything like drugs and alcohol, and you were really just on medicine, it would be a whole different real medicine from the ground, plants.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Medicine versus drugs.
Yeah.
Sorry, medicine versus
drugs.
Drugs. Correct.
Anything that comes from a laboratory is a drug. Everything that comes from the ground is a plant. Anything that comes from Pachamama and from the earth is medicine. You can literally heal anything with a plant.
Can you abuse plant medicine?
Yes, if you're unhealed.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I strongly believe in the presence of earth and medicine, and using medicine only when you want to expand your consciousness or if you're trying to heal something. I only use medicine when I'm trying to heal my children from a cold. I know I'm not calling a pharmacy to put Tylenol into my child. It's the same thing. It's not going to help you if there's no long-term effect with it. It's a symptom, right? So people take cold and cough medicine over the counter. It has no nutritional value in it. What you need is the root of it, right? So you have plants to help you. Why do we take vitamins, right? Because they're supplementation of intuitive supplementation of what you actually need, vitamins and aminos and things from the earth. So the same thing goes for your mental capacity. There are medicines in the world that can completely heal you. And that's what psychedelics are for. Only when they are used in ceremony, in a beautiful space, when you have actual shamans and wisdom keepers. You don't take medicine and go out to a party.
Right.
It's so disrespectful. And that's another fad, right? That's been happening. And that's why it has such a bad name, because people have all of these bad experiences, or they were hosted by unhealed shamans or healers. And it doesn't work like that. There's a system for everything, especially for such sacred medicine. It has to be facilitated by the wisdom keepers, you know? And so I feel like it's been abused. I am a big believer in plant medicine, 1,000,000%.
What if people don't know how to get it? I mean, the average mom in Dubai, for example, that doesn't live in Africa, that doesn't have access or knowledge, she's like, okay, all I know is I need to give my kid Panadol. He or she is sick. What would you tell them right now? How could they go about learning, knowing, understanding? And how do they get access?
You know, and when I say plant medicine, I also mean vitamins. Like if your child is sick, the first thing people do is they give, a fever is actually helping you fight something, right? So you don't want to fight off the fever. You want to fight off what it is, bacterial or viral. And so you have to know what plants to give. So I would, in my opinion, I would look up everything that a child can take, anything from chlorophylls to anything plant-based, you know, their vitamin C's, their zincs, their ashwagandhas, any type of mushrooms that are not psychoactive, that should be in their daily diet. And when your immune system is big enough and strong enough, and they're trained like that from a really young age, you're really unlikely to get sick. My kids are never sick. The only time my kids were sick when they lived in Dubai. But when you live in places like this, you have to be even more prepared, right? So when you have a cough, you have there's different seeds that you can boil. And I would my biggest advice is just to Google and research, you know, botany and naturopathy. And there's amazing, actually, for everyone listening, there's amazing naturopaths here in Dubai who can literally transform all of your kids. There's so much information if you go looking for it.
Mm. And what about for the healing journey? That sparked a lot of curiosity in me when you and I spoke. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people that are feeling something right now. Like, I need help. I want to understand. What can they do? How can they reach you?
Okay. So if you really need help, just in general, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, are you ready? If you are ready to completely change your life, if you're ready to stop the same story of I am this, I am that, just like I was depressed, I was sad, I was all of that. And you make the energetic decision, okay, I'm ready to go on this journey. We have a various amount of options. We have one-on-one work with us. We have, if you can't do that, we have an online program that a lot of people do. If you have the will to sit and take yourself through it on your own, a lot of people are like, I can't even do another course by myself. I need help. We're literally just a phone call away. And that's the difference between us. I feel like we're very attainable. Like, you can always get a hold of me somehow. I'm very much into community. I feel like community is the new currency, and I'm here for that. Like, I'm here to help other people. You can visit my Instagram, which is Shayoon_. And in those links in the bio, I would actually, for everybody watching your show, I would love to give our morning ritual modality for free to anybody as a gift, because if you can sit down and you can change just a few things, how your morning looks and how your evening looks sets you up for your entire day. So if you can sit down, don't touch your phone 1 hour after you wake up. Don't even look at it. Check in with yourself before you check in with the world, is my motto. And in that hour, you're making hot tea with lemon in it. You're not caffeinating. You're hydrating. You're sitting down and you're doing what's called the Lightforce Blessings meditation. You are completely clearing yourself, your energy. You're putting a light bubble around you before you even go outside, and you're set for the day. You are writing down the top 3 things you must do today, your goals, your intentions, all of it. If you do that, you have the possibility of increasing your day and your productivity by 47%.
Yeah, and you can do it on your own.
You have to do it on your own. You got to train yourself. It's you. Yeah. You are the one that's going to be the one to change your life.
I love it. And last thing before we wrap up, the show is called What They Don't Tell Us. If you could tell us the one thing that they don't tell us, what is it?
That's a good one. Okay.
There's a lot of things they don't tell us, but if that one thing that's like an itch, oh man, I wish I knew this before. Yeah. What would you say it is?
I wish I knew before that the ultimate key to happiness was me, and that I didn't need it from anybody else. And I was seeking it from everyone my whole life until I found out that I am the creator of all of my thoughts and all of my feelings. That changed my life.
I love it so much.
Yeah. I love
you know what
so
I'm going to do?
What?
I'm really going on this healing journey.
Yes, you are.
I am going to do it.
Yes.
Just for the curiosity's sake, because I always like to elevate and grow and do better. And I'm going to do yours.
No,
and I hope to come back able to explain even more, because I'm a student just like everybody
4
else.
weeks, once a week for 2 hours. It will take 8 hours to change your life.
I'm going to do it. And I promise, if I see the progress and the journey, I'm going to share it with everybody, because I'm really so curious to hear about or to feel what I'm supposed to feel at the end of that journey. So
bless you.
I'm on it. Okay.
Thank you. I love you.
Thank you for coming on my show.
Of course.
I love chatting with you.
Thank you.